Your presence makes sharing these stories worthwhile. Tell us, where are you tuning in from today? Big city? Small town? Share with us in the comments. Now, let's dive into today's story. Chapter 1. The Weight of Success. Jack Thompson rolled his shoulders, easing the tension that had built up during the hours of preparation for SecureTech's biggest product launch. The conference room buzzed with anticipation as his team made final adjustments to their demonstration setup. Screens displayed real-time data streams, each pixel representing months of dedication and countless sleepless nights. Systems check complete, Mr. Thompson, Sarah Chun, his lead developer, announced. Her fingers danced across the keyboard, running through the final diagnostic tests. The neural network is responding perfectly to all test scenarios. Jack nodded, adjusting his navy blazer. At 38, he carried himself with the quiet confidence of someone who had built something remarkable from nothing. SecureTech wasn't just a company. It was his legacy, a testament to his belief that technology could make the digital world safer for everyone. The boardroom filled with investors, tech journalists, and industry leaders. Jack caught his reflection in one of the screens. Sharp features, determined brown eyes, and a few strands of gray at his temples that Emily kept telling him made him look distinguished. Emily, his wife's increasing emotional distance nagged at him, but he pushed the thought aside. Today wasn't about personal matters. Ladies and gentlemen, Jack began, his voice steady and assured. Today, we're not just launching a product. We're revolutionizing cybersecurity as we know it. He gestured to the main screen, where their new software sprang to life. Predict Shield doesn't just react to threats, it anticipates them. The demonstration unfolded flawlessly. The software identified and neutralized simulated cyber attacks before they could breach the system, drawing gasps and murmurs of appreciation from the audience. Jack's team had created something extraordinary, and he felt a surge of pride as he watched their months of work validate itself in real time. As you can see, Jack continued, moving through the presentation with practiced ease. Predict Shield uses advanced machine learning algorithms to analyze patterns in network traffic, identifying potential threats before they can execute their payload. Marcus Rodriguez, his head of marketing, beamed from the side of the room. They'd worked together since SecureTech's early days, when the company operated out of Jack's garage. The press is eating this up, he whispered during a brief pause. Bloomberg's already running with the story. After the presentation, congratulations poured in. Jack shook hands, answered questions, and accepted praise with genuine humility. A young developer from his team approached, practically vibrating with excitement. Mr. Thompson, that was incredible. The developer's enthusiasm reminded Jack of himself at that age. The way Predict Shield handled that complex attack vector in the third demonstration, I've never seen anything like it. Jack smiled, placing a hand on the young man's shoulder. This is just the beginning. We're making the digital world safer, one innovation at a time. You're a legend, Jack, another employee chimed in. SecureTech wouldn't be here without you. The praise was gratifying, but Jack's thoughts drifted to Emily again. He pulled out his phone, hoping to see a message from her. Nothing. She hadn't even asked how the presentation went. 5 years ago, she would have been in the front row, beaming with pride. Now, she barely asked about his work. As the crowd thinned, Sarah approached with a tablet displaying the first batch of performance metrics. The system's exceeding all our projections, Jack. Look at these response times. Jack studied the data, but his mind wandered to the growing distance between him and Emily. He needed to do something about it. Tonight, he decided. Tonight, he'd make an effort to reconnect. The drive home was quiet, giving Jack time to plan. He'd suggest that new Italian restaurant Emily had mentioned wanting to try. They could really talk like they used to. Maybe he could understand what had changed between them. Their house was dark when he pulled into the driveway. Inside, he found Emily in her home office, surrounded by graphic design mock-ups for her latest freelance project. She barely looked up when he entered. Jack said, leaning against the doorframe. How about we try that new Italian place tonight? The one you mentioned last month. Emily's fingers continued moving across her tablet, her attention fixed on the screen. Oh, Jack, I can't. I promised to meet Sarah for coffee. She finally glanced up, but her expression was distant. Maybe another time? Jack felt the familiar sting of rejection. Sure, no problem. How about tomorrow? I'll have to check my schedule. Emily returned to her work, effectively ending the conversation. Jack retreated to his study, loosening his tie. The contrast between his professional success and personal life felt like a cruel joke. He stared at the awards lining his shelves, industry recognition, innovation prizes, magazine covers featuring Secure Tech's rise to prominence. None of it seemed to matter when he couldn't connect with his own wife. His phone buzzed, a message from Claire, his sister. Saw the presentation online. Knocked it out of the park, little brother. Mom and Dad would be so proud. A smile tugged at his lips. Claire had always been his biggest supporter, even when Secure Tech was just an idea scribbled in notebooks. As a corporate lawyer, she'd helped navigate the company's early legal challenges, believing in his vision when others doubted. Jack's thoughts were interrupted by the sound of Emily's car starting. Through the window, he watched her pull out of the driveway. She hadn't even said goodbye. The house felt emptier than usual, the silence amplifying his concerns about their marriage. He turned to his computer, pulling up the scholarship program he'd established for underprivileged students interested in cybersecurity. Reading through the latest batch of applications helped center him. These young minds, eager to learn and contribute to the field, reminded him why he'd started Secure Tech in the first place. A knock at the door pulled him from his work. Tom, his best friend since college, stood there with 2 beers in hand. Figured you could use one of these after today's big show. How'd you get in? Jack asked, accepting the bottle. Emily let me in on her way out. Tom dropped into the leather chair across from Jack's desk. Saw the presentation online. Pretty impressive stuff, man. Jack took a long drink. Thanks. The team really outdid themselves. Yeah, but something's eating at you. Tom leaned forward, his expression serious. Is it Emily? Am I that obvious? Only to someone who's known you 20 years. Tom set his beer down. You need to talk to her, man. Something's not right. Jack sighed, running a hand through his hair. I know. She's different lately. Distant. Always has somewhere else to be. Have you asked her about it? I try, but she deflects. Changes the subject. Says everything's fine. Jack stood, pacing the room. I don't know what changed. We used to talk about everything. Marriage counseling? Jack shook his head. She won't consider it. Says we don't need it. Their conversation was interrupted by Jack's phone ringing. Margaret Wilson's name flashed on the screen. Jack suppressed a groan. His mother-in-law had impeccable timing for making difficult days worse. Jack, Margaret's voice filled his ear before he could even say hello. I hope I'm not interrupting anything important. No, Margaret. What can I do for you? Well, we're planning a family vacation to Hawaii. The whole Wilson clan. Her tone carried that familiar mix of entitlement and condescension. You'll cover the expenses, right? It's only fair since you're the breadwinner. Jack caught Tom rolling his eyes. His friend had witnessed enough of Margaret's manipulative behavior over the years to understand Jack's position. Of course, Margaret. I'll take care of it. Jack kept his voice neutral, even as frustration built inside him. Excellent. Emily will be so pleased. She deserves a break, you know. All that freelance work must be exhausting. After ending the call, Jack slumped in his chair. Sometimes I think Margaret sees me as nothing but a walking checkbook. That's because she does, Tom said bluntly. She's always been like that, man. Remember when she tried to convince Emily not to marry you because you were just a startup founder back then? Jack remembered all too well. Margaret had never approved of him, despite, or perhaps because of, his success. She came from old money and viewed self-made people like Jack with barely concealed disdain. Later that night, after Tom left and Emily still hadn't returned, Jack sat alone in his office. Photos on his desk captured happier times. His wedding day, the opening of Secure Tech's first real office, vacation snapshots from before things changed. He traced Emily's smile in one of the pictures, trying to pinpoint when that genuine joy had faded from their relationship. His childhood memories surfaced, growing up in a modest household, watching his parents work multiple jobs to make ends meet. They'd taught him the value of hard work and integrity, lessons that guided him through college and the challenging early days of Secure Tech. Emily had been there for much of that journey, supporting his dreams despite her privileged background. But lately, she seemed more influenced by Margaret's materialistic values. The clothes, expensive spa treatments, lavish parties, all things Margaret insisted were essential for maintaining their social standing. Jack had never cared about such things, preferring to focus on making a real difference in the world. His phone buzzed again, Claire checking in. Just wanted to make sure you're not working too late. The scholarship program can wait until tomorrow. Jack smiled at his sister's concern. Just thinking, Claire. Thanks for having my back today. Always will, little brother. You're doing good, Jack. Don't let the stress get to you. As midnight approached, Jack heard Emily's car in the driveway. She entered quietly, probably assuming he was asleep. He considered going downstairs, trying once more to talk to her, but something held him back. The late nights, the secretive phone calls, the emotional distance. It all pointed to something he wasn't ready to confront. Instead, he pulled up the Hawaii vacation details on his laptop. If Emily needed this trip to be happy, he'd make it happen. But something in his gut told him to pay attention, to watch carefully. Maybe the tropical paradise would reveal what was really happening in his marriage. Jack closed his laptop and stood by the window, looking out at the city lights. He'd built secure tech from nothing, protected countless people from cyber threats, helped students achieve their dreams through his scholarship program. Yet here he was, unable to protect what mattered most, his marriage. Tomorrow would bring new challenges at Secure Tech, more innovations to develop, more lives to impact. But tonight, in the quiet of his study, Jack Thompson resolved to uncover the truth about his wife's changed behavior, whatever the cost. Chapter 2. The Hawaiian Tipping Point. The Maui breeze carried the scent of plumeria as Jack watched the Wilson family descend upon the Four Seasons resort like a well-dressed hurricane. Margaret led the charge, luggage trailing behind her, while Emily hung back, focused on her phone as usual. Jack observed them all with newfound awareness, noting every interaction, every whispered conversation. "Your suite is ready, Mr. Thompson," the concierge announced, handling their check-in with practiced efficiency. "We've arranged everything according to Mrs. Wilson's extensive requests." Jack caught the slight hesitation in the concierge's voice and couldn't blame him. Margaret had spent the past week bombarding the hotel with demands. Specific room locations, particular brands of champagne, precise thread counts for the linens. Money was no object, she'd insisted, knowing full well it wasn't her money being spent. "The presidential suite looks adequate," Margaret declared, surveying their accommodations with a critical eye. "Though I expected the ocean view to be more prominent." She turned to Jack, her expression a practiced mix of disappointment and expectation. "Perhaps you could speak to management about an upgrade?" Before Jack could respond, Emily chimed in without looking up from her phone. "Mom, please. The suite is beautiful." Her words defended Jack, but her tone carried no warmth, no real connection to the conversation. Jack busied himself unpacking, watching Margaret immediately begin planning their activities. "We simply must book the private helicopter tour," she announced, flipping through a glossy resort brochure. "An exclusive sunset cruise. Oh, and the spa's royal treatment package looks divine." Emily finally looked up from her phone, a slight flush coloring her cheeks. "Those all sound wonderful, Mom." Jack noticed her reaction, filing it away with other recent observations. Who was she texting so intently? Why did she seem nervous whenever she put her phone down? The first few days fell into a pattern. Margaret orchestrated increasingly expensive excursions. Emily remained distracted and distant, and Jack watched it all with growing suspicion. He noticed how Emily would disappear for long phone calls, always returning with flimsy excuses about work emergencies that didn't quite add up. During a private dinner at the resort's most exclusive restaurant, the situation came to a head. Margaret reached across the table, manicured fingers extended toward Jack's wallet, which he'd placed beside his plate. "We'll be using your credit card for this trip," she declared, as if announcing the weather. Emily smiled, a gesture that didn't reach her eyes. "Hope you don't mind." Jack maintained his composure. Even his anger simmered beneath the surface. He pulled out his phone, displaying a notification he'd arranged with his bank. Then you'll love this message from a bank. Margaret's eyes widened in horror as she read. Card declined due to suspicious activity. What? She screeched, drawing looks from nearby diners. How are we going to pay for everything? Jack kept his voice level, watching their reactions carefully. Don't worry, Margaret. It's just a security measure. I have other cards. He stood, straightening his jacket. Let me step outside and call the bank. Instead of making the call, Jack positioned himself near the restaurant's terrace, where he could observe the table through the glass doors. Margaret immediately huddled close to Emily, their expressions a mix of panic and anger. Jack didn't need to hear their words to understand the conversation. He'd seen enough similar exchanges lately. Tom, who had joined the trip at Jack's request, appeared beside him, testing them. Needed to see how they'd react, Jack confirmed, his suspicions deepening. Did you notice how quickly they panicked? Not about the dinner bill, but about the whole trip's expenses. They're using you, man. Tom's usual laid-back demeanor hardened. Have been for a while, from what I've seen. Jack nodded, his jaw tight. Margaret's always been manipulative, but Emily, she used to be different. Used to see through her mother's materialism. Inside, Margaret was now furiously typing on her phone, probably trying to access her own emergency funds. Funds Jack knew were largely depleted from her last few essential shopping sprees. Emily sat quietly, still checking her phone at regular intervals. Want me to have Claire look into their financials? Tom offered. She's got contacts who could. Not yet. Jack interrupted. I need to understand the full picture first. They returned to the table, where Jack smoothly produced another credit card. All sorted, he announced. Just a routine security check. The bank's being extra cautious with international charges. Margaret's relief was palpable, though she tried to mask it with indignation. Well, they should have warned you. We could have been embarrassed. Because that's what matters, right? Jack couldn't quite keep the edge from his voice. Appearances? Emily shot him a sharp look, the most genuine reaction she'd shown all evening. Jack, please. Let's just enjoy dinner. Later that night, Jack couldn't sleep. The suite's luxury seemed to mock him. All this expense, all this pretense, while his marriage crumbled beneath the surface. He stepped onto the balcony, the warm Hawaiian air doing little to calm his thoughts. A voice drifted up from the lower balcony, causing him to freeze. Emily's voice, soft but clear in the night air. I miss you too, Ryan. Can't wait to see you when I get back. Jack's blood ran cold. Ryan. The name triggered a memory. Ryan Mitchell, a smooth-talking investor he'd met at a charity event months ago. The pieces started falling into place. Emily's late nights, her constant texting, her emotional withdrawal. He gripped the balcony railing, his knuckles white. The ocean waves crashed below, their rhythm matching the pounding in his chest. How long had this been going on? The charity event where he'd met Ryan Mitchell played back in his mind. Emily's unusual interest in the conversation, the way she'd lingered at the investor's table. Jack slipped back inside, careful not to make a sound. The suite's luxury now felt suffocating. He grabbed his laptop and retreated to the private sitting room, needing space to think. Claire's text arrived as if she'd sensed his distress. Can't sleep? Something's bothering you, isn't it? Need your advice, Jack typed back. When you have time tomorrow. It's about Emily. Tom found him there in the morning, still processing what he'd overheard. His friend took one look at his face and closed the door behind him. I think Emily's cheating, Jack said, his voice low. I heard her talking to someone named Ryan last night. Tom's expression hardened. Ryan Mitchell? That investor with the fake smile and suits. You need to find out, man, Tom urged, pulling up a chair. Don't let them walk all over you. Claire arrived moments later, having received Jack's message. Her legal mind was already working on possibilities. If it's true, I'll help you legally, Jack. No one messes with my brother. Jack appreciated their support, but he needed more than suspicions. He needed proof. The tech expert in him knew that emotions couldn't drive his decisions. He needed data, evidence, a clear picture of what he was dealing with. The group breakfast that morning was an exercise in restraint. Jack watched Margaret and Emily whispering, their heads close together over their coffee cups. He positioned himself at the next table, pretending to be absorbed in his phone while straining to hear their conversation. Jack's too focused on work, Margaret said, her voice dripping with disapproval. You deserve someone who appreciates you, like Ryan. Emily nodded, accepting her mother's manipulation without question. The Emily he'd married would have defended him, would have seen through Margaret's schemes. This Emily, this stranger wearing his wife's face, simply agreed. The rest of the morning passed in a blur of scheduled activities. Jack went through the motions, playing his part while his mind worked on multiple levels. He thought about the scholarship program he'd built, the students whose lives he'd changed. He thought about his company's success, built on innovation and integrity. He'd faced challenges before, overcome obstacles that seemed insurmountable. Now, he faced a different kind of challenge, a personal betrayal that cut deeper than any business setback. But he wouldn't confront Emily yet. That would be premature. He needed to understand the full scope of the situation. Tom pulled him aside during a break between activities. What's the plan, Jack? For now, we watch and gather information, Jack replied, his voice steady. I need to know exactly what I'm dealing with. Claire added her perspective during a private moment by the pool. Document everything, Jack. Times, dates, conversations. If this goes where I think it's going, we'll need records. The vacation continued, a carefully choreographed performance of family harmony. Jack played his role perfectly, maintaining the facade while observing every detail. He noticed how Emily's phone always faced down, how she stepped away for calls, how her excuses became increasingly elaborate. Margaret continued her financial demands, each one a test of Jack's patience. She ordered the most expensive wines, booked extra excursions, treated the resort staff like personal servants, all while smiling at Jack with barely concealed contempt. On their final night in Hawaii, Jack sat alone on his balcony, looking out at the same view that had revealed his wife's betrayal. The pieces of his life lay before him like a complex puzzle. His successful company, his philanthropic work, his marriage built on what he now realized were shifting sands. He thought about his parents, their modest life filled with love and integrity. They'd taught him to work hard, to help others, to stand up for what was right. Now he would need those lessons more than ever. Tom found him there, offering silent support. Whatever you need, buddy. We got your back. I know, Jack said, his decision crystallizing. And I'm going to need it. This isn't just about Emily's betrayal anymore. It's about standing up for myself, for everything I've built. Claire joined them, her legal pad already filled with notes. We'll handle this right, Jack. No rushed decisions, no emotional reactions. We'll get the truth, and then we'll decide how to proceed. As the Hawaiian sun set on their last evening, Jack Thompson felt a strange sense of clarity. He'd come to paradise seeking answers, and he'd found them, though not the ones he'd hoped for. His wife was having an affair, his mother-in-law was manipulating them both, and his marriage was built on a foundation of lies. But he was Jack Thompson, the man who'd built Secure Tech from nothing, who'd helped countless students achieve their dreams, who'd faced down corporate giants and won. He would handle this situation with the same strategic thinking and determination that had made him successful. The flight home loomed ahead, but Jack was ready. He had his siblings' support, a clear mind, and a growing resolve. Let Emily keep her secrets for now. Let Margaret play her games. Jack would bide his time, gather his evidence, and when the moment was right, he would act. As they packed for their return journey, Jack caught Emily watching him with an unreadable expression. For a moment, he saw a flicker of the woman he'd married, or perhaps just a ghost of what he'd thought she was. Either way, it was too late. The trust was broken, the damage done. Tom helped him load the last of the luggage, understanding in his eyes. Ready to head back? More than ready, Jack replied, his voice firm. Time to face reality. The Hawaiian paradise had served its purpose, though not the one intended. Instead of a family vacation, it had become the catalyst for truth, the moment when illusions shattered and reality emerged. Jack Thompson boarded the plane home a changed man, not broken, but stronger, clearer in his purpose, and determined to handle what lay ahead on his own terms. Chapter 4. The Seeds of Doubt. The Secure Tech office hummed with activity as Jack installed the final components of his surveillance system. The same technology that protected corporations from cyber threats would now reveal the truth about his wife's betrayal. His fingers moved across the keyboard, each keystroke bringing him closer to undeniable proof. The tracking software's ready, Saracen reported, unaware of its true purpose. The detection algorithms are running at optimal efficiency. Jack nodded, his expression neutral. Good work, Sarah. Let's run a final diagnostic. In his car, the listening devices blended seamlessly with the existing electronics. The home system was equally sophisticated, a network of hidden microphones and cameras that would catch what Emily thought were private conversations. Jack had become the predator instead of the prey, and his tech expertise was his weapon. The first recording came through that evening. Emily's voice filled his office, clear and damning. Once we divorce Jack, we'll live off his money. Ryan's laughter followed, rich with arrogance. He's clueless. We'll bleed him dry. Jack's hands curled into fists, but his mind remained sharp. Each word they spoke was evidence, ammunition for the battle ahead. He played the recording for Claire, who took detailed notes. This is good, she said, her legal training evident in her analysis. But we need more. Keep gathering evidence. Tom arrived with coffee, his presence a steady support. You're handling this better than I would, man. I'd have confronted them already. Patience, Jack replied, pulling up another audio file. Listen to this. Margaret's voice emerged from the speakers. Ryan's a better match, Emily. Jack's too boring for you. The manipulation runs deep, Claire observed, adding to her notes. Margaret's been pushing this agenda for months. Jack leaned back, his mind working through multiple scenarios. They think I'm predictable, safe. They're counting on me, following their script. So change the game, Tom suggested, understanding in his eyes. Jack's plan took shape gradually, each piece carefully considered. He began by creating a series of fake text messages and emails, using SecureTech's advanced spoofing technology. To Emily, messages appeared from Ryan, hinting at another woman. For Ryan, anonymous tips suggested Emily planned to take everything and leave him with nothing. The results manifested quickly. Emily stormed into their home one evening, her composure shattered. Are you cheating on me with someone else? She demanded into her phone. Jack, hidden in his study, recorded Ryan's confused response. What are you talking about? And what about you? I heard you're going to cut me out after the divorce. The seeds of doubt had been planted. Jack watched through the security feeds as their trust in each other began to crack. Emily checked her phone more frantically now, her messages to Ryan tinged with suspicion. Ryan's responses grew defensive, then angry. Claire reviewed the mounting evidence with professional detachment. You're building a solid case, Jack. But be careful. We need to keep this legal. Or at least appear legal, Tom added, earning a sharp look from Claire. Jack's next move required a different approach. He arranged a meeting with Ryan, playing the role of an unsuspecting husband. The coffee shop provided neutral ground, its mundane setting perfect for his purpose. I've heard good things about your project, Jack said, watching Ryan's face carefully. The investment potential looks promising. Ryan's eyes lit up with poorly concealed greed. That would be fantastic, Jack. Let's make it happen. The trap was set. Jack established a shell company, creating a paper trail that would seem legitimate under casual inspection. Ryan, eager to impress his lover's wealthy husband, invested heavily in the fake opportunity. Emily, however, wasn't as easily fooled. She recognized Jack's sudden interest in Ryan's business as unusual. Her counterattack came through whispered conversations and pointed questions at SecureTech. I heard the new software has serious security flaws, she mentioned to a board member at a company event. Jack's been cutting corners. The rumors spread quickly. SecureTech's stock price dipped as investors grew nervous. Employees whispered in break rooms, wondering if their visionary leader had lost his touch. She's trying to ruin me, Jack told Claire during an emergency meeting, spreading lies about my company. Claire's response was immediate and practical. She's desperate, Jack. We'll fix this. I'll handle the legal side. Jack had anticipated this move. He released comprehensive documentation of SecureTech's financials and security protocols, demonstrating the company's solid foundation. The stock price rebounded stronger than before, and employee loyalty deepened. "You've got them running scared," Tom observed, watching the security feeds with Jack. "What's your next play?" Jack's answer was interrupted by a call from Margaret. "Jack, dear, about the country club membership." "Not now, Margaret." Jack cut her off, his voice carrying an edge that made her pause. "I'm dealing with some important business matters." The silence that followed was telling. Margaret, unused to being dismissed, struggled to respond. "Well, we'll discuss it later." After ending the call, Jack turned to his friends. "They think they're playing chess, but they don't realize I've changed the game entirely." Tom nodded, understanding. "They're still thinking moves ahead, but you're playing a different board." "Exactly," Jack agreed, pulling up new data on his screens. "And they won't realize their mistake until it's too late." In the following days, Jack's plan accelerated. He used SecureTech as resources to monitor Emily and Ryan's every communication, building a comprehensive picture of their betrayal. Each piece of evidence was carefully cataloged, each interaction analyzed for potential leverage. Saracen noticed her boss's increased focus. "You're spending a lot of time on these new security protocols, Mr. Thompson." "The best defense is a perfect defense, Sarah," Jack replied, the double meaning clear to him alone. Claire arrived with updates from her legal team. "We've documented everything, Jack. The affair, the financial manipulation, Margaret's involvement. When you're ready to move, we'll have an airtight case." "Not yet," Jack said, watching Emily's car pull into their driveway through the security feed. "Let them think they're winning. It'll make their fall harder." Tom, sprawled in his usual chair, raised an eyebrow. "You're enjoying this, aren't you?" "Not enjoying," Jack corrected, his expression grim. "But I won't deny feeling satisfied watching their plan unravel." The evidence mounted as days passed. Emily's late-night calls to Ryan grew more frequent, their content more revealing. Margaret's attempts to manipulate the situation became increasingly desperate. And through it all, Jack watched, recorded, and planned. "She's underestimated me," Jack said to Tom as they reviewed new footage. "Now it's time to tighten the noose." Chapter 5: Escalating Tensions. The first cracks in Emily and Ryan's relationship appeared exactly as Jack had planned. His carefully crafted disinformation campaign bore fruit as Emily discovered evidence of Ryan's infidelity. Photos Jack had doctored using SecureTech as advanced software. Their argument echoed through Jack's surveillance system. "You're a liar, Ryan," Emily shouted into her phone. "You're the one planning to leave me." Ryan's response crackled with static and fury. "Me? What about those bank transfers you've been hiding? Planning your escape with Jack's money." Jack watched the feed from his office, noting how Emily's composure cracked. The forged documents he'd planted, suggesting she was secretly draining their accounts, had hit their mark. "They're turning on each other," Claire observed, reviewing the transcripts. "But be careful, Jack. This has to look natural." Tom lounged nearby, his casual posture belying his attention to detail. "Ryan's getting desperate. He might try something stupid." Jack's prediction proved accurate. That night, SecureTech's security system detected an attempted breach. Ryan, losing money and patience, tried to hack into the company's servers. "Amateur," Saracen reported, tracking the attack. "He's using basic penetration tools, nothing sophisticated." Jack allowed the attempt to continue long enough to document it thoroughly. "Let him think he's getting somewhere. We'll use this later." Claire reviewed the logs with growing satisfaction. "We can press charges, Jack." "He's done." "Not yet," Jack replied, his voice measured. "Let him think he's winning. It'll make his fall harder." The pressure began to show on Emily. Her carefully maintained facade cracked as her relationship with Ryan deteriorated. She appeared at Jack's office unannounced, her outfit failing to hide her desperation. "I'm sorry, Jack," she pleaded, tears threatening to fall. "I made a mistake. Please, let's work this out." Jack regarded her coldly, remembering the recordings of her plotting with Ryan. "You made your choice, Emily. Now you'll face the consequences." "You don't understand," she tried again, reaching for his hand. "Things with Ryan, it's not what you think." "Try it," Jack replied, his voice devoid of emotion. "You'll regret it." Emily's face hardened, her vulnerability replaced by anger. You think you know everything, don't you? You're not the only one with secrets, Jack. She stormed out, leaving Jack to consider her threat. He pulled up the surveillance feeds, watching her retreat to her car. Her phone was already in her hand, no doubt calling Ryan or Margaret. Margaret's intervention came the next morning. She burst into Jack's office, her expensive perfume failing to mask the stench of desperation. "You're ruining my daughter's life," she yelled, ignoring the startled looks from employees. Jack calmly played the recording of her encouraging the affair. "Stay out of this, Margaret, or you'll lose everything too." The color drained from Margaret's face as she heard her own voice plotting against Jack. She backed away, her aristocratic bearing crumbling. "How dare you?" she whispered, but the threat in her voice had vanished. "How dare I?" Jack stood, his presence filling the room. "How dare I protect myself from your schemes? Your manipulation? Think carefully about your next move, Margaret. Very carefully." After she left, Tom emerged from the adjacent room. "She's scared now. Really scared." "Good," Jack replied, turning back to his monitors. "Fear makes people sloppy, and sloppy people make mistakes." The surveillance continued, revealing new layers of betrayal. Ryan, desperate for money, began pressuring Emily for access to Jack's accounts. Emily, caught between her lover and her comfortable life, grew increasingly erratic. "He's cornered," Jack told Tom, watching Ryan's increasingly frantic attempts to salvage his investments. "And cornered animals bite." Tom nodded, understanding the warning. "I'm here, buddy. Whatever you need." Jack's revenge intensified. He used his connections to block Ryan's business deals, ensuring potential investors received anonymous tips about his questionable practices. Emily's graphic design clients mysteriously learned of her personal drama, leading to canceled contracts. Claire maintained the legal framework, ensuring each action appeared coincidental. "We're walking a fine line, Jack, but so far everything's clean." The pressure mounted as Jack's plans squeezed them from all sides. Ryan's financial situation deteriorated rapidly, his investment in Jack's shell company draining his resources. Emily's attempts to maintain her social standing faltered as rumors spread through their circle. Margaret, watching her daughter's life unravel, made one final attempt to intervene. She appeared at Jack's house late one night, her usual polish replaced by desperate determination. "Name your price," she demanded. "Everyone has one." Jack played another recording, her voice discussing plans to bleed him dry with Emily. "You taught her well, Margaret. The manipulation, the entitlement. But you forgot one thing." "What's that?" Margaret whispered, though her expression suggested she already knew. "You underestimated me. All of you did." Jack's voice carried no anger, only certainty. "Now leave my house before I add trespassing to the evidence I'm gathering." As Margaret's car disappeared into the night, Tom appeared with his usual impeccable timing. "Want to follow her?" "No need," Jack replied, pulling up the tracking data on his laptop. "We know exactly where she's going." The next phase would require perfect timing. Jack had the evidence, the leverage, and the means to destroy them all. But revenge, he knew, was a dish best served. "They're about to learn," he told Tom, "exactly what happens when you betray Jack Thompson." Claire arrived with fresh legal documents. "Everything's in place, Jack. When you're ready to move, they won't know what hit them." Jack nodded, his expression resolute. The end game was approaching, and he would ensure they felt the full weight of their choices. Emily's betrayal, Ryan's greed, Margaret's manipulation, all would be answered for, systematically and completely. "Let them think they still have a chance," he said, watching the security feeds. "The trap is set. Now we wait for them to walk right into it." Chapter 6, The Breaking Point. The collapse of Ryan's financial world came. His investment portfolio, centered around Jack's fake opportunity, crumbled like a house of cards. Creditors descended, freezing accounts and demanding immediate payment. "You dragged me into this mess," Ryan shouted at Emily during a meeting Jack observed through his surveillance network. "You said he'd never figure it out." Emily, her composure shattered, fought back. "You're the one who wanted Jack's money. Don't blame me for your failures." The argument spiraled, each accusation driving them further apart. Jack watched from his office, Tom and Claire bearing witness to the implosion they'd orchestrated. "They're turning on each other faster than we expected," Claire noted, adding to her legal documentation. Tom grinned. Amazing what money problems do to a relationship built on greed. Emily appeared at Jack's office the next day, her outfit unable to hide her desperation. "Just give me enough to start over," she begged. "I'll sign whatever you want." Jack's laugh carried no humor. "You think you deserve anything? You'll get nothing, Emily. Nothing." Her face contorted with rage. "You can't do this to me. I'll tell everyone about your secrets, your dirty dealings." "Try it," Jack replied calmly. "See how that works out for you." Emily stormed out, but Jack knew her next move before she made it. The security cameras caught her approaching his car that evening, tools in hand. Tom stepped out of the shadows, phone recording. "You're done, Emily," Tom said, calling the police. "Jack sends his regards." The media coverage began the next day. Anonymous sources leaked photos of Emily and Ryan's affair, their secret meetings now public knowledge. Social media exploded with speculation, their reputations shredding in real time. Margaret's desperate attempt to salvage the situation backfired spectacularly. "I never approved of this," she claimed to their social circle, disowning Emily in a bid to save her own standing. Jack released more evidence gradually, each revelation calculated for maximum impact. Ryan's fraudulent business practices came to light. Emily's attempts to sabotage secure tech were exposed. Margaret's manipulation unraveled in documented detail. The final confrontation came late one night. Security alerts pinged on Jack's phone. Ryan had broken into the house, drunk and desperate. "Come out and face me," Ryan shouted, stumbling through the darkness. Jack, prepared for this moment, activated the house's security systems. Cameras recorded as Ryan lunged forward, only to be dropped by Jack's precisely aimed taser. Police sirens wailed in the distance as Emily arrived, drawn by Ryan's frantic messages. She found him handcuffed, Jack calmly explaining the break-in to officers. "You planned this, didn't you?" she accused, comprehension dawning in her eyes. Jack nodded once. "You forced my hand." As Ryan was led away, Margaret appeared, her final power play ready. But Jack was prepared for her too. He produced documents detailing her financial misdeeds, years of tax evasion, and hidden accounts. "Stay out of this, or you'll go down too," he warned. Margaret retreated, her influence shattered, her machinations exposed. Tom approached as the police cars disappeared. "It's done, buddy. They're finished." Jack watched the night reclaim its silence. His revenge had been precise, calculated, and complete. Emily, Ryan, and Margaret had played their games, thinking him an easy mark. They'd never suspected that their target would become their destroyer. "Not quite finished," he corrected, turning to Claire. "But close. Very close." The night stretched ahead as Jack returned to his office. The security feeds showed Emily pacing in their home, making frantic calls that went unanswered. Her social circle had crumbled, her lover was in jail, and her mother had abandoned her. "We should document her reaction," Claire suggested, setting up additional recording equipment. "Everything could be relevant later." Tom brought coffee, his expression thoughtful. "She's going to try something else. You know that, right?" "Let her," Jack replied, reviewing the footage of Ryan's arrest. "Each move she makes just gives us more ammunition." The next morning brought fresh challenges. Emily launched a desperate campaign to salvage her reputation, reaching out to Jack's board members with wild accusations about his business practices. "He's unstable," she claimed in emails that Jack intercepted. "He's using company resources for personal vendettas." Jack countered with a masterful presentation to the board, demonstrating how his security measures had protected the company from corporate espionage, conveniently highlighting Ryan's attempted breach of their systems. "Mr. Thompson's actions have saved this company millions," Sarachin testified, unaware of the personal drama behind the security upgrades. "His foresight in detecting and preventing threats is unprecedented." The board's support strengthened, Emily's accusations backfiring spectacularly. She retreated to her mother's house, only to find Margaret's doors closed to her. "You've ruined everything," Margaret spat through the intercom, Jack's surveillance catching every word. "I can't be associated with this scandal." Claire reviewed the mounting evidence with professional satisfaction. The pressure's getting to them. They're making mistakes. More than mistakes, Tom added, replaying footage of Emily's attempted car sabotage. They're self-destructing. Jack's phone buzzed with updates throughout the day. Ryan's lawyer attempted to negotiate, offering information in exchange for leniency. Margaret's social circle imploded as more of her manipulations came to light. Emily's design clients canceled contracts en masse. "Your reputation's actually improving through this," Claire noted, showing Jack the latest media coverage. The wronged husband who protected his company from corporate theft. The narrative twisted perfectly to Jack's advantage. His employees rallied around him, productivity soaring as they worked to prove their loyalty. The stock price climbed higher, investors impressed by SecureTech's robust security measures. "You've turned their attack into an advantage," Tom observed, watching the company's value tick upward. "Pretty impressive, man." Jack allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. "They thought they could use my success against me. They never understood what made me successful in the first place." The evening brought one final confrontation. Emily appeared at his office, mascara streaked across her face, clutching printed emails and photos. "I'll expose everything," she threatened, waving the papers. "Every dirty deal, every secret meeting." Jack remained seated, calm in the face of her hysteria. "You mean these deals?" He pulled up documentation on his screen, showing legitimate business transactions and board-approved decisions. "Were these meetings?" Security footage appeared, showing normal corporate operations. "That's not. I had proof," Emily stammered, her ammunition dissolving. "No, Emily. You had assumptions. Guesses. The desperate lies of a man trying to steal what I built." Jack stood slowly. "Ryan fed you what you wanted to hear, and you believe him because it fit your narrative. The narrative your mother helped create." Emily's composure cracked entirely. "I never meant. It wasn't supposed to." "Get out of my office," Jack said quietly. "You've lost. Accept it." As she fled, Tom emerged from the shadows. "Think she's finally got the message?" "She has no choice now." Jack turned back to his monitors, watching Emily's car speed away. "They've lost everything they tried to take from me. Their reputations, their social standing, their financial security." Claire arrived with final updates. Ryan's lawyer is pushing for a deal. He's willing to testify about Margaret's involvement in exchange for reduced charges. "Decline it," Jack instructed. "Let him face the full consequences. Margaret will get what's coming to her without his help." The night deepened as they reviewed their victory. Emily had retreated to a cheap hotel. Her credit cards declined at more prestigious establishments. Ryan sat in a cell, his dreams of wealth shattered. Margaret faced social exile, her carefully constructed image destroyed. "It's almost poetic," Tom mused, watching the various security feeds. "They try to tear you down and ended up destroying themselves." Jack stood by his office window, looking out at the city lights. He'd built his success from nothing, fought for everything he'd achieved. These people, his wife, his mother-in-law, the manipulative investor, had thought him weak because he was kind. They'd mistaken his generosity for naivety. "The game's over," he said finally, "and they never even understood the rules." Claire gathered her legal documents, each page documenting the comprehensive destruction of those who betrayed her brother. "What now, Jack? Now?" Jack turned from the window, his expression determined. "Now we make sure they can never recover. No social comeback, no financial resurrection, no redemption story. Remind me never to cross you," Tom said, only half joking. Jack's phone buzzed with another update. Ryan's bail had been denied, his flight risk too high. Emily's attempts to access their joint accounts had failed, her passwords mysteriously changed. Margaret's country club membership had been revoked, her years of social climbing erased. "They wanted to play games," Jack said, shutting down his monitors. "But they chose the wrong opponent." The second act of Jack Thompson's revenge drew to a close, leaving destruction in its wake. He had dismantled their plots, turned their own weapons against them, and emerged stronger than before. But as he left his office that night, Jack knew this wasn't the end. The final act still awaited, the complete and total resolution that would ensure his enemies never rose again. But that would come later. For now, he savored the satisfaction of a battle well won, a revenge perfectly executed. Tom and Claire walked with him to his car, their loyalty unwavering through the storm. They'd helped him transform from victim to victor, watched him dismantle his opponents piece by piece. "Get some rest," Claire advised. "Tomorrow brings new challenges." Jack nodded, knowing she was right. The war wasn't over, but this battle was won. He'd shown Emily, Ryan, and Margaret exactly who they'd underestimated, and the price of that mistake would echo through their lives forever. The night embraced him as he drove home, his mind already turning to the next phase of his plan. But that was a story for another day, another act in this drama of betrayal and revenge. For now, he had demonstrated beyond any doubt that crossing Jack Thompson was a fatal mistake, one his enemies would regret for the rest of their lives. Chapter 7. The Reckoning. The divorce proceedings unfolded in a pristine courtroom, each detail meticulously prepared by Claire's legal team. Emily sat across the aisle, her clothes replaced by a modest suit that betrayed her diminished circumstances. Jack maintained his composure, watching his years of marriage dissolved into clinical legal terms. "The prenuptial agreement stands," Claire announced, presenting the documentation. "Furthermore, the evidence of infidelity and attempted corporate espionage nullifies any claim to additional assets." Emily's lawyer, a junior associate from a mid-tier firm, shifted uncomfortably. Her previous attorney had withdrawn after learning the full scope of evidence against her. "Your Honor, my client contests the validity of certain evidence." Objection overruled. The judge interjected, reviewing the comprehensive documentation. "The evidence has been authenticated by multiple independent experts." Jack observed Emily's reaction. The confident socialite who had plotted his downfall now slumped in her chair, reality crushing her carefully constructed facade. "You chose Ryan over Jack," Claire stated during her closing argument. "Now live with it." The judge's ruling left no room for appeal. Emily received nothing. No alimony, no property, no shares in Secure Tech. The prenuptial agreement, combined with her documented betrayal, stripped away any claim to the wealth she'd tried to steal. Outside the courtroom, Margaret waited, her own social standing in tatters. "This isn't over, Jack," she hissed, but her threat carried no weight. "It was over the moment you decided to manipulate my marriage," Jack replied. "You never understood what you were dealing with." Tom stood nearby, recording the interaction. "Want me to show her the rest of our evidence?" Margaret retreated, finally comprehending the depth of her defeat. Her influence had crumbled, her social circle abandoned her, and now her daughter faced financial ruin. Back at Secure Tech, Jack reviewed the latest reports on Ryan's situation. His former rival had fled the country, leaving behind a mountain of debt and legal troubles. Anonymous tips ensured authorities in multiple jurisdictions were aware of his movements. "He'll spend his life running," Jack told Tom, scanning the international alerts. "No financial center will touch him now." Sarah Chun interrupted with updates on the company's latest innovations. "The new security protocols are exceeding expectations, Mr. Thompson. The beta testers are impressed." Jack immersed himself in the work, finding solace in the technology that had helped expose his enemies. Secure Tech's stock soared as new contracts poured in, each success a reminder of what his betrayers had tried to steal. "I won't let their betrayal define me," he explained to Claire during a late-night strategy session. "I'm stronger than that." The scholarship program expanded, funding education for dozens of promising students. Jack spoke at universities, sharing his expertise while carefully avoiding any mention of his personal trials. His employees watched with growing respect, witnessing both his professional brilliance and personal resilience. A letter arrived from Emily, the paper expensive but the handwriting shaky. "I was wrong, Jack. Please, give me another chance," she pleaded. The words rang hollow, desperation seeping through each line. Jack fed the letter into his shredder without reading beyond the first paragraph. Tom raised an eyebrow at the gesture. She hasn't learned, Jack explained, still trying to manipulate instead of accepting responsibility. Reports filtered in about Emily's new reality. Her graphic design business struggled. Potential clients whispered about her scandal, and former friends avoided association. She'd moved into a small apartment, her dreams of luxury shattered by her own choices. Margaret withdrew from society, her influence destroyed by the evidence Jack had gathered. The country club membership she'd prized was revoked, her social climbing revealed as a hollow pursuit. Karma, Tom commented, watching security footage of Margaret being turned away from her former social haunts. They played with fire. Jack focused on SecureTech's future, pushing the company into new territories. A revolutionary product launch drew international attention, showcasing innovations that left competitors scrambling to catch up. The stock options you offered meant more than money, Sarah Chun told him during a team celebration. They showed you believed in us. Claire monitored the legal aftermath, ensuring their enemies remained contained. No social comeback, no financial resurrection, she confirmed. They're finished, Jack. At a tech conference in Singapore, Jack delivered the keynote address. Journalists praised his vision, unaware of the personal battles behind his success. In the audience, Lisa Matthews took notes, her journalist's instincts sensing a deeper story. "You're an inspiration, Jack," she said afterward, introducing herself. "Not many people could come back from what you went through." Something in her direct gaze caught his attention. Unlike Emily's calculated charm, Lisa's interest seemed genuine, professional, but warm. "Would you like to discuss it over coffee?" he found himself asking. Chapter 8, The Aftermath. Jack's office at SecureTech became a testament to his resilience. News articles highlighted the company's innovations, while private screens monitored his fallen enemies. He transformed from victim to victor, but the cost of that transformation weighed on him. "I won't forgive or forget," he told Tom during their regular strategy meeting, "but I won't let it consume me either." Reports of Emily's struggles provided a steady reminder of justice served. Her low-paying job barely covered rent. Her social media presence dwindled to nothing, and her attempts to rebuild her design career met consistent rejection. "I had everything, and I threw it away," she confided to a coworker, unaware that Jack's surveillance still caught her words. All for a lie. Margaret offered no comfort to her daughter's pleas. "You made your bed, Emily. Lie in it," she snapped during a brief phone call. Her own life had unraveled, her carefully cultivated image destroyed by Jack's systematic exposure of her manipulations. News of Ryan's arrest in Bangkok reached Jack's desk through his international monitoring network. The former investor's attempt to scam wealthy expatriates had backfired spectacularly. "He thought he could use me," Jack explained to Claire, reviewing the police reports. "Now he's exactly where he belongs." Claire nodded, adding the information to their extensive documentation. "You played the game, Jack, and you won." The scholarship program flourished under Jack's expanded funding. Dozens of students received opportunities they'd never imagined possible, their gratitude evident in letters and emails that meant more than any revenge. "Success isn't just about money," he told a group of young entrepreneurs during a mentoring session. "It's about integrity." SecureTech's employees rallied around their leader, productivity reaching new heights. The loyalty he'd shown during difficult times returned multiplied, creating an atmosphere of innovation and trust. Lisa's presence in Jack's life grew naturally, their coffee meetings extending into dinners and long conversations. She understood his drive, respected his boundaries, and never pushed for more than he was ready to give. "You deserve happiness, Jack," she said one evening as they walked through a quiet park. "Maybe it's time to look forward instead of back." The suggestion resonated with him. His revenge had been complete, his enemies defeated. Perhaps there was more to life than monitoring their downfall. Tom noticed the change in his friend's demeanor. "Lisa's good for you, man. She sees the real you." Security feeds showed Emily attempting to rebuild her life, each effort thwarted by the reputation she'd earned. Her small apartment felt like a prison compared to the luxury she'd known, her former friends unreachable behind walls of social ostracism. Margaret's isolation deepened as her financial misdeeds came to light. Though Jack chose not to pursue legal action, the evidence he'd gathered ensured her social rehabilitation remained impossible. "She's suffered enough," he told Claire when she suggested pressing charges. "Let her live with the consequences of her choices." Ryan's life continued its downward spiral. His arrest led to extradition, multiple fraud charges waiting in various jurisdictions. News reports painted him as a cautionary tale, his schemes exposed and his charm revealed as shallow manipulation. He chose this path, Jack reminded Tom as they reviewed the latest updates. "And I made sure it led to ruin." Lisa's work as a journalist gave her unique insight into Jack's world. She understood the tech industry's complexities and appreciated the significance of his innovations. "I'm ready for this," Jack told her as they planned their first vacation together. A fresh start. The trip represented more than just travel. It marked a transition from revenge to renewal, from past pain to future possibilities. Secure Tech launched revolutionary products, each success building on the last. Jack's leadership style evolved, combining his technical expertise with a deeper understanding of human nature. "Your experience changed you," Lisa observed during a quiet dinner. But not in the way they intended. She was right. The betrayal had forced him to confront his own strength, to recognize that kindness didn't equal weakness. His success had grown from that understanding, creating something his enemies could never comprehend. Chapter 9. The Final Victory. Secure Tech's global headquarters buzzed with excitement as Jack prepared for the International Technology Summit. His company had revolutionized cybersecurity, saving countless businesses from digital threats while setting new industry standards. "The neural network's response time has doubled," Sarah Chin reported, pride evident in her voice. "Nobody else comes close to this level of protection." Jack's name had become synonymous with innovation and resilience. Awards lined his office walls, but he remained focused on pushing boundaries, exploring new possibilities. "I'm just one part of this," he said during his acceptance speech at a prestigious tech gala. "Success comes from building something larger than yourself." Claire watched from the audience, leaning close to Tom. "He's unstoppable now." The truth of that statement reflected in Secure Tech's market position. Competitors struggled to match their advancements, while Jack's team continued breaking new ground. Emily's attempts at redemption faltered against the walls of her past choices. Her small design business collapsed under the weight of her reputation, clients unwilling to risk association with her name. "I can't escape my past," she admitted to a sympathetic barista. Jack made sure of that. The barista, familiar with a widely publicized scandal, offered no comfort. "You heard him, Emily. What did you expect?" Margaret's withdrawal from society became complete as her remaining social connections dissolved. Her once powerful influence evaporated, leaving her alone with the consequences of her actions. Jack's success played on her television screen, a constant reminder of her catastrophic miscalculation. She'd underestimated him, assumed his kindness meant weakness, and paid the price for that mistake. Ryan faced justice in multiple countries, his international scams finally catching up with him. Prison sentences accumulated as authorities unraveled his complex web of fraud. A cautionary tale, financial newspapers declared, documenting his fall from grace. Jack reviewed the reports with detached interest, feeling no satisfaction in Ryan's destruction. The man had chosen his path, pursued greed over integrity, and found his own ruin. Lisa brought balance to Jack's life, her perspective helping him focus on future possibilities rather than past betrayals. Their relationship grew stronger, built on mutual respect and genuine understanding. "I'm here for it," she said simply when he suggested they move in together. "All of it." The decision felt right, a step toward something new rather than a retreat from something old. Their shared interests created natural connections, while their differences added depth to their bond. Secure Tech's innovations continued revolutionizing the industry. Jack's leadership style inspired loyalty, his example showing that success and integrity could coexist. "You've built something remarkable," Lisa observed during a company celebration. "Not just the technology, but the culture." She was right. The betrayal that could have destroyed him had instead forced growth, pushed him to excel in ways his enemies never imagined. The scholarship program expanded internationally, offering opportunities to students across the globe. Jack found particular satisfaction in reading their success stories, seeing dreams realized through education and determination. His enemies' attempts to destroy him had failed spectacularly, their own lives shattered by their choices. But Jack's focus had shifted from monitoring their downfall to building his future. "Ready for the next adventure?" Lisa asked as they boarded a plane for a well-earned vacation. Jack looked out the window, seeing not the past shadows but the future's possibilities. He'd faced betrayal, fought back, and emerged stronger. His life hadn't just survived the storm. It had transformed into something better. "More than ready," he replied, meaning it completely. The plane lifted into the sky, carrying them toward new horizons. Jack Thompson, once targeted for destruction, had rebuilt his life on his own terms. His success stood as testament to resilience, his happiness proof that the best revenge was not just surviving, but thriving. The victory was complete, the story concluded, not with the destruction of his enemies, but with the creation of something they could never take away, a life built on strength, integrity, and the power of moving forward. Epilogue. 5 years later, the SecureTech Tower dominated the Manhattan skyline, its glass facade reflecting the morning sun. Inside the top-floor office, Jack Thompson, now 43, reviewed the latest global security reports on his holographic display. The company had grown beyond his original vision, protecting not just corporations, but entire nations from cyber threats. "The AI integration is complete," Sarah Chen announced, now Chief Technology Officer after years of loyalty and brilliance. "The predictive accuracy rates are unprecedented." Jack nodded, studying the data streams. The past 5 years had transformed SecureTech from a successful company into a technological powerhouse. Their security protocols had prevented 3 major global cyber attacks in the past year alone, earning accolades from governments worldwide. "The Thompson algorithm changed everything," Sarah continued, referring to the revolutionary code that had made their latest innovations possible. "Nobody else comes close to matching our protection levels." Lisa, now Lisa Thompson, entered the office carrying their 2-year-old daughter, Emma. After their marriage 3 years ago, they found a balance between their careers and personal life that neither had thought possible. Lisa's journalism had evolved into writing influential books on technological innovation and corporate ethics, with Jack's story serving as a powerful case study. "Daddy!" Emma reached for Jack, her small hands grasping at the air. Jack took her, the simple action reminding him how much his life had changed. "The Foundation's annual gala is tonight," Lisa reminded him, straightening his tie. "The new scholarship recipients are excited to meet you." The Thompson Foundation had expanded far beyond its original scope. What started as a scholarship program now funded technological education worldwide, built innovation centers in developing countries, and supported promising startups. Jack found particular satisfaction in helping young entrepreneurs avoid the pitfalls he'd encountered. Claire arrived next, her legal expertise now focused on shaping international cybersecurity laws. "The EU just adopted our proposed framework," she announced. "It's official. SecureTech standards are going global." Tom lounged in his usual chair, though his casual demeanor belied his position as head of security operations. "Remember when we thought exposing a simple affair was complicated?" he joked, referring to the events that had changed their lives half a decade ago. Jack's thoughts briefly turned to his former enemies. The years had proven the thoroughness of his revenge, their lives permanently altered by their choices. Emily had never recovered her social or professional standing. Recent reports showed her working at a small graphic design firm in Milwaukee, her dreams of luxury permanently shattered. Her attempts to rebuild her reputation had failed, the internet's long memory ensuring potential clients always discovered her past. She tried reaching out again, Claire mentioned, pulling up a message on her tablet. Wanted to explain her side in some documentary about corporate scandals. Delete it, Jack replied, bouncing Emma on his knee. The past is past. Ryan Mitchell's story had become a cautionary tale in business schools. After serving 3 years in various prisons for fraud, he'd been released only to find himself unemployable in any financial capacity. Last reports placed him in South America, teaching English at a small language school, a far cry from his days of corporate manipulation. Margaret Wilson had perhaps suffered the most complete transformation. The once proud socialite now lived in a modest retirement community in Florida, her financial misdeeds and social machinations having cost her everything she valued. She occasionally appeared in social media posts, unrecognizable from the manipulative force she'd once been. The documentary people contacted her too, Tom added. She actually told them she had no comment. First smart decision she's made in years. Jack's attention returned to the present as Sarah presented the latest breakthrough in quantum encryption. The technology they developed had moved beyond simple corporate security, now protecting critical infrastructure and national defense systems. The NSA contract is just the beginning, Sarah explained, her excitement evident. Think global implementation within 2 years. The Thompson Foundation's headquarters occupied the building's lower floors, a constant stream of innovation and education flowing through its halls. Young developers, engineers, and entrepreneurs found mentorship and support, their dreams nurtured by the resources Jack had established. Lisa's latest book, Digital Renaissance: Innovation and Ethics in the Modern Age, had become required reading in business schools worldwide. Her investigation into corporate culture and technological innovation used SecureTech's journey as a central case study, though she'd tactfully avoided the personal drama that had sparked their transformation. The Chinese translation just hit bestseller status, she mentioned, checking her phone. They're particularly interested in the chapters on ethical leadership. Claire's legal work had evolved to match SecureTech's growth. She now headed a team specializing in international technology law, helping shape the frameworks that govern digital innovation. Her experience with Jack's case had given her unique insights into corporate manipulation and protection. Remember when we thought gathering evidence on a cheating spouse was challenging? She mused. Now we're dealing with state-sponsored cyber warfare. Tom's security division had grown into an elite force, training corporations and governments in advanced threat detection. The skills he developed during Jack's revenge served a greater purpose, protecting institutions from both digital and physical threats. We're running simulations for the Pentagon next week, he reported. They're finally taking private sector innovation seriously. The day's meetings continued, each update demonstrating how far they'd come. SecureTech's innovations had created thousands of jobs, protected countless institutions, and advanced technological understanding in ways Jack had never imagined during those dark days of personal betrayal. Emma played with her toys in the corner of the office, her presence a reminder of the future rather than the past. Jack watched her, seeing none of the manipulation and greed that had characterized his relationship with Emily. His daughter would grow up understanding the value of integrity, the importance of building rather than taking. The Tokyo office reports another breakthrough, Sarah announced, drawing Jack's attention back to business. The quantum neural network exceeded all benchmarks. The international expansion had been particularly satisfying. SecureTech's influence now reached every major financial center, their protection extending to institutions Jack's enemies had once hoped to exploit. The irony wasn't lost on him. Their attempt to steal his success had only served to multiply it. Lisa touched his shoulder, understanding in her eyes. Time for the foundation meeting. The new grant recipients are waiting. The Thompson Foundation's meeting room filled with young faces, each representing the future of technological innovation. Jack studied them, remembering his own journey from ambitious entrepreneur to revenge-driven tactician to industry leader. Success isn't just about innovation, he told them, Emma now sleeping peacefully in Lisa's arms. It's about integrity, about building something that serves more than yourself. The lesson had come at a heavy price, but its value was evident in every aspect of his life now. The company thrived not through manipulation, but through genuine innovation. His marriage to Lisa was built on mutual respect and understanding, not social climbing and materialism. The foundation helped others achieve their dreams, turning personal success into widespread opportunity. Claire presented the latest expansion plans, including new innovation centers in developing nations. "We're not just funding education anymore," she explained. "We're creating entire technological ecosystems." Tom's security reports showed the broader impact of their work. Corporate espionage attempts had dropped significantly in sectors using secure tech as protocols. The systems Jack had developed to expose his betrayers now protected thousands from similar manipulation. The predictive algorithms are identifying potential threats before they materialize, he reported. "It's revolutionizing the entire security industry." Sarah's technical teams continued pushing boundaries, their innovations building on the foundation of Jack's original revenge-driven security measures. The technology that had exposed Emily and Ryan's betrayal had evolved into tools protecting global communications and financial systems. "The quantum encryption suite is ready for beta testing," she announced. Early results suggest it's truly unbreakable. As evening approached, Jack prepared for the Foundation's gala. The annual event had become a celebrated gathering of technological innovators and ethical business leaders. Unlike the social climbing of his past life, these connections served genuine innovation and progress. Lisa adjusted his bow tie, their reflection in the office windows a sharp contrast to his memories of Emily's superficial attention. Ready to inspire another generation? The ballroom filled with guests, from promising students to industry leaders. Jack watched Emma charm the attendees, her innocent enthusiasm a reminder of why he'd built all this. The revenge that had once driven him had transformed into something far more meaningful, a legacy of innovation and opportunity. Claire managed the legal aspects of the evening, ensuring the Foundation's new initiatives met international regulations. Her work had expanded from protecting one man's interests to shaping global technological law. The EU representatives are particularly interested in the ethical AI protocols, she mentioned between presentations. They're talking about making them industry standard. Tom supervised security with his usual relaxed efficiency, though his team's capabilities far exceeded typical event management. The skills honed during Jack's revenge now protected international conferences and global leaders. "Remember when we thought recording a few conversations was high-tech?" he joked. "Now we're running quantum-encrypted security networks." The evening's keynote speech fell to Jack, with Lisa and Emma watching proudly from the front row. He surveyed the audience, seeing not the social climbers and manipulators of his past, but genuine innovators and dreamers. 5 years ago, I learned the hard way that success attracts those who would take rather than build, he began. But true innovation comes from integrity, from creating something that benefits more than yourself. The lesson resonated through the room, though few knew its personal origins. The Thompson Foundation had become a symbol of ethical innovation, its principles shaped by Jack's journey from victim to victor to visionary. Late that night, after the guests had departed and Emma slept peacefully in her bed, Jack and Lisa stood in his office, looking out over the city. The SecureTech Tower's reflection in other buildings created a pattern of light and innovation, a physical manifestation of how far they'd come. "Any regrets?" Lisa asked, though she knew the answer. Jack thought about Emily's latest attempt at contact, about Ryan's fall from grace, about Margaret's isolated existence. Their betrayal had sparked a transformation they could never have anticipated, creating something far beyond their ability to comprehend or corrupt. "None," he replied, holding his wife close. "Everything led here. The city lights twinkled below, each one representing a life or system protected by SecureTech's innovations. The revenge that had once consumed him had evolved into something greater, a legacy of protection, innovation, and opportunity. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, quantum computing breakthroughs, international security threats, Foundation initiatives. But tonight, Jack Thompson stood at the peak of an empire built not on revenge, but on the principles his enemies had tried to corrupt. In the end, their betrayal had given him more than they'd ever hoped to take. Not just success, but purpose. Not just wealth, but meaning. Not just victory, but true happiness. The empire he'd built from their treachery now served as a beacon of innovation and integrity, a testament to the power of turning betrayal into blessing. Emma's toys lay scattered in the corner of his office, a reminder of the future he was building. The next generation would face its own challenges, but they would do so armed with the tools and principles he'd established. The Thompson legacy would continue not through manipulation and greed, but through innovation and integrity. The night deepened, but SecureTech's systems continued their vigilant protection, the algorithms born of personal betrayal now guarding global interests. Jack's revenge had evolved into something his enemies could never have imagined, a force for progress, protection, and positive change. In the quiet of his office, surrounded by the empire he'd built from their betrayal, Jack Thompson smiled. The best revenge hadn't been destroying his enemies, but building something they could never touch, never corrupt, never understand. Something that would outlast their schemes and survive their manipulation, serving as a testament to the power of integrity over greed, innovation over destruction, creation over corruption. The future stretched ahead, bright with possibility, while his enemies remained trapped in the consequences of their past choices. Jack had won not just the battle they'd started, but the war for something far more valuable, a legacy worth building, protecting, and passing on. And there you have it. Another story comes to an end. What did you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this story, consider joining our community by subscribing. It means the world to us. For more stories like this one, check out the recommended videos on screen. And I'll see you there.